All right, got my lemonade. Let's go. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Kashawn and you are watching The Book Archer. So today is April 1st, which means March wrap up. So I read 8 books this month and I have a lot of things to say about all of them. I don't want this video to be too long, so we're gonna jump right into it. The first book I read in the month of March was Paper Towns by John Green, which conveniently has a movie coming out soon. This is my third John Green book that I have read. I have also read The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska. I actually have a discussion video up on this book. It's spoiler free because it's like Paper Towns versus Looking for Alaska, because I had a few issues with this book unfortunately, but I still enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. This is my second favorite John Green book of the 3 that I have read, and it is definitely a little bit lighter in feel than his other books. I do recommend this, and this was the first book that I picked up in the month of March. The second book I read in the month of March was Snow Like Ashes by Sara Raasch. This is a trilogy, a fantasy trilogy. It followed a main character named Mira, who is from the country of winter. In this fantastical world, there are different kingdoms for different seasons. So there's spring, autumn, winter, and summer. Beginning of this book, you find out that spring, 16 years ago, spring conquered the Winterian nation. So Mira is a refugee and they are fighting to get their kingdom back and get the magic back in their kingdom. This was such a good read. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Usually when you read the first book in a series, you just kind of get the setup for everything, but there was so much more resolved in here than I was expecting, and I really liked the protagonist and a lot of the characters in the story. It just was very well developed for the first book. This is a trilogy, but this book by itself is like satisfying alone. 5 out of 5 stars. I will be doing a review on this, so be on the lookout for that. The third book I picked up this month, I just took it back to the library yesterday, so unfortunately I don't have it in my possession. The Sin Eater's Daughter. I was really anticipating the book. I thought that it was going to be like a fantasy version of Shatter Me, but I was very disappointed, to say the least. The synopsis of the book that they sell you on is basically there is a girl who lives in this fantasy world where no one can touch her. She has a deadly touch except for the royal family. The royal family are the only people who can touch this girl without being harmed, and she is set to marry the prince. Throughout the story, it was very heavily based in the romance area. There is a big love triangle in the story, so if you don't like love triangles, number one, you want to leave this book alone because it's so romance based. But then you get to the last 80 pages, it's so much action. It resolves all of these things that you didn't even know were happening in the story, and it was really good. But the majority of the book, like the way it flowed, it was really weird. It was a 3 out of 5 star book for me. It kind of almost put me in a slump, which sucks. Not my favorite read of the month. The fourth book I picked up this month was a book that my best friend wanted me to read since she went and saw the movie and she read the book, and that was 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Yes, the infamous 50 Shades of Grey. I actually really ended up enjoying reading this. My rating for this book is still like a 3 star just because the writing was pretty cheesy. The story wasn't believable to me, especially with the whole billionaire thing. It was just like, okay. But the reading experience that I had with this book was definitely 5 out of 5 stars. It was different from anything that I would usually read or that I usually read, and it kept me engaged the entire time. I read this book in one sitting and it's 510 pages. It's an enjoyable read if you allow yourself to get engrossed into it. It's always nice to switch it up and read something outside of my norm or my comfort zone, so 3 out of 5 stars, but a 5-star reading experience. The next book I decided to pick up was Fire and Flood by Victoria Scott. This is the first book in a duology, and Fire and Flood is kind of like a dystopian. It is a mix between, what do people always say, Hunger Games and Pokemon. The main character of the storyteller, at the beginning of the story, we find out that her brother is sick, and in order to find a cure for his sickness, she has to compete in this contest called the Brimstone Bleed. read. In this contest, you're dropped off into the middle of nowhere and you have to survive different terrains, which means she has to survive like the desert, the rainforest, the mountains, and then there's another one because there's only 2 in each book. If you win the race, then you get a cure. But the thing that makes this book really unique is that each person competing in the contest gets like their own special Pandora, which are all like different like animals, but they have like souped up powers. Like they have like superpowers. The animals do. It's so cool. You just have to read the book to find out. I don't want to give away anything spoilery. If you're looking for something that's kind of dystopian but really fast paced, I would definitely suggest getting into this. I really enjoyed it. After that, last week or the week before that, I posted a video and I wanted you guys to vote on what book you wanted me to read out of the library haul that I did. I did viewer's choice. There is a specific book that won, but y'all won't see that until April. However, there were 2 runner-ups that tied for 2nd place, so I figured that I would still read those books for you guys. The first of those being Exhall, Demon Glass by Rachel Hawkins. This is a book about a witch who is sent off to a special boarding school where other supernatural creatures are. It's like a supernatural reform school. There are witches, werewolves, vampires, and fairies. So all of your favorite supernatural characters. And the first installment of this book is just like your usual mystery going on at the boarding school, trying to figure it out, etc. I really enjoyed this. Rachel Hawkins' writing style is just so easy to read. She's the perfect author to read if you're in a reading slump, or she's the perfect author to read if you just want something that you can just fly through, that is laid back, easy, like just, it's so easy to get into her books. Definitely check her out. This was a really good book. And the follow-up to Exhall, Demon Glass, OMG, this blew me away because I just thought she was still going to be at the boarding school and stuff. This one you get to see a lot of the political intrigue within the magic world. You get to see her expanding on her powers. You get to see some new characters introduced, and then it has like a major cliffhanger at the end. It was so good. I enjoyed this way more than I was expecting to. This was a 5 stars out of 5 stars for me. I'm definitely enjoying this trilogy and I cannot wait to read the last book. The last book that I read in the month of March was the book that tied for 2nd place as well, 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This was so good. It was way better than I was expecting. So I'm not usually a fan of sci-fi. I just haven't been able to find really good sci-fi books that I'm just interested in reading. So when I first started this, it took me a while to get into it. Like, I really trust you guys' opinion, and all y'all were saying like, okay, it's really good, just read it. And of course, you were right. I knew my subscribers would not fail me. At the beginning of the story, the main character, her father has been killed, and he's the inventor of a machine that allows you to jump from different parallel universes or parallel dimensions. So his killer has basically killed him and stole the machine and jumped to the next dimension. So in order to avenge her father's death, her and a close friend of hers are going to go after him in the other dimensions. Now, mind you, this is a brand new invention, so all of this stuff is risky. I loved it. You get to see the parallel universes that are like super like different but similar to, you know, where the main character is. So it's like you get to have multiple stories in one. You get a few different settings. It has like 2 or 3 plots like changes and things that you don't see coming. Even though I guess the majority of all the plots was because I don't know what it is, but I can always guess like plots in books. I'm so good at it. There was only one that I didn't see coming, but I'm telling y'all, this book was so good, and I'm really glad that I jumped outside of my comfort zone and got into a sci-fi book. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of March. I would have to say my favorite reads for the month: Snow Like Ashes, 1,000 Pieces of You, in the Exhall. If you wanted to see a review for any of the other books that I mentioned in this video, just leave it in the comment section down below and I'll make sure to do that. Expect my April TBR on Friday, and I will be doing a giveaway really soon. I have a book haul coming. I just have quite a few things coming. But yes, if you've read any of these books, comment down in the comment section below with your thoughts on them. Let's just talk below. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!